So my name is Chitish Raj Lohani. I'm from Nepal. So currently, actually recently, I would like to introduce myself as founder of Crinzel. So it's an umbrella organization which is doing like various projects in the field of mental health, education, mentorship, and other. So that's what I like to introduce myself as. Whereas in professional side, I work as a software engineer at Apple.
Sitish, thank you so much for your time today.
All my pleasure.
We are very excited to have you in our podcast and very excited to learn all about your project.
The reason why we are taking this interview with you is the initiative that you guys have begun through Crinzel, which is COVID-19 Nepalese students loan assistance for rent, right? So tell me more about this initiative.
So this started, I guess, like a month ago. So, there was one Nepalese teenager Facebook page, which is like in the US, which is like really popular. And one of the girl over there wrote that, like I really need help to pay my rent. And in exchange of that, I'm willing to do anything. And I was really shocked to hear that news. Actually, it's in my Facebook profile also. And I was like, I wrote, in the page back, then I said like, okay, if you're doing this with your own desire, it's totally fine. You are a girl, you can do whatever you want. But if it's because you really don't have money, then I would like to pay your rent. So then we got connected, like some other girl got connected with me, and I paid her rent, right? But the thing that she said was, I don't want to take it as a donation, I want to take it as a loan.
Nice.
That was the moment I realized, like why you want to take it as a loans. She said that, because I'm capable enough. It's just like for this 1 or 2 month, I don't have money. So I want to take it as a loan. She took a loan. Within 1 month, she returned it back.
Oh, she did?
And
Nice.
yes, I did. So it's already there. And then the whole concept started. I was like, that's true, right? Like these kids, like right now, they don't have money. But like, once they graduate, they're going to have money. So, instead of giving a donation, why not, try to experiment? So this is actually an experiment, right? This is like, I'm doing it for the first time. A lot of people are seeing this for the first time. The result will be there in 2 years, 1 or 2 years. But I think if this really succeeds, then, like we will be able to recycle the money, right? Because all the money will come back, like their problem will go away and, the money will come back. So that's the reason why this all started.
Actually, it's interesting. So you reached out to that girl just to help her out to pay maybe a 1 month rent, and then the idea came up to your mind about why not we start an initiative. So that's interesting. So then how did this initiative like broaden?
So I just wrote to my in my Instagram and Facebook stories, like if there is anyone who is willing to help me, right? Because I helped her, because like a lot of people come. Of course, I cannot give like everyone $300 or $400. So I said, then like 5 or 6 people came to me and they said, yeah, I'm there for you. So let's start. So I think within 1 hour we had like $6,000 to $7,000 fund. I was like, okay. Then I started going to Facebook, like if anyone needs, just let me know. I didn't want to do GoFundMe because I really want to work with every lender one-on-one. So I talk with them, I do FaceTime with them, I tell them, like, okay, this is the thing, this is why we're doing. It's a 0% loan. Plus, they get like 2 years to pay this till they graduate. And, like we don't do credit checks. So there's no guarantee that it might come back. We're doing this because, our students need us. So I want to have that conversation with lender one-on-one. So I don't do GoFundMe. So I talk with them. And that's how it started. And then people slowly started, realizing I'm doing this. And then the whole thing started. I think the other main reason was, so at first I was not doing anything much for COVID-19. And whenever a student used to come to me, I used to, send them to other Nepalese organizations, which are doing like amazing work. Like they are doing amazing work, which I love. But the problem was everyone came back to me saying that everyone is doing for food, right? Everyone is giving food. And few of them said like, say, I can live in like ramen noodles for 1 month, but like the rent, I cannot do that because rent I have to give to someone else. So like, is there anyone who is doing a rent? I tried to find out. I tried to talk with so many Nepalese organizations. Everyone said, we are doing food. We want to do food. We want to do food. And I was like, okay, if they're doing food, that's good. Then I want to do something else, right? So I started doing rent. So if someone comes to me for food, I send them to other organizations. Whereas if anyone comes to rent, they send to me.
Okay, so how do people reach out to you if they, need some cash to pay their rent?
The one thing that I really did was with his like a unique is, so I'm a big advocate of transparency. For me, transparency is the main priority. So every transaction you can see in website in real time. So what that means is a lot of time when the donation thing happens, the donation happens right now, right? And the report comes after 1 year, like, this is how we spend. And at that time, people will forget, like, even if they have given any money. So whereas in my case, the moment the transaction happens, it's up online in real time. So you can track like where the money is going, who the money is going, and everything. So that's the one thing like that I really like, because a lot of time we donate and we think our responsibility is done, which is very wrong. Once you donate, please make sure it has gone to the right hand and you have every question to ask where your money has gone, right? So yeah, coming back to your question, so they contact me through Facebook or email or through reference, and from there the verification process starts.
How do you find out that the person who is reaching out to Cringel for financial assistance to pay their rent are genuine?
Yeah, so it's very simple, right? There's no credit check or social security involved or anything, right? It's all based on like goodwill. So I ask for the student ID because you have to be a student. Of course, it doesn't matter you are in Australia or US or anywhere. Then after that, I ask to see their bank accounts, right? A screenshot of bank accounts. Then the third thing is their rent agreement or like anything related to rent, like how much is their rent, what was the previous utility bill, and all of this. And the fourth thing is I ask for a reference, right? Okay. With whom I can talk, either your roommate or your parents or your this. And the next question, and there are like 6 questions, so that's 4. The 5th question is why you cannot bring money from Nepal. That's another question. And the other question is what changed in your recent economic status. Because of that, everything happened, right? So those are the 6 questions. And I mean, see, if someone wants to trick me, of course they can. But the question is, people are tricking big banks, right? So like, who am I, right? So if someone really wants to trick me, but like, that's the maximum I can do. So that everything I do. But after that, so now that happens, the thing is, I never hold any money. Like I never want to hold even a single dollar with me. So when I call them lender. So when lender reaches out to me, what I say them is, okay, tell me your name, your email, and how much money you want to give. But I never ask money with them. I keep them in my database. Now, when the receiver comes, who needs a needy person comes, I connect them to.
Okay.
Right. So the money is actually from lender to receiver. It's not through me, because I never want to hold even a single dollar of money. That creates another big problem. So the money transaction happens between them. I just connect them and I make sure that the money has reached to the receiver. Then I send them like every month, I send them emails saying, okay, you have to pay this loan, and the process goes.
Okay, so your initiative started after the pandemic, after the coronavirus pandemic hit the US. And so coming this far, how long have you been doing this?
I think it's been more than a month, 1.5 months now.
And then undoubtedly, the kind of documentation requirement, at least to make sure that someone actually is in need, based on what you just described, it definitely means that it is time-consuming process. How big is your team?
I mean, in Cringel, I have a lot of people, right? But for this particular one, I didn't want it to use anyone because all the receiver, they are anonymous, right? Only I will know about them, and only the lender who gives them money will know about them. And for that purpose, I decided I'm not going to use anyone from Cringel. So, like there are other projects of Cringel, they just take care of, my team takes care. But for this, just to preserve their anonymity, and privacy, it's only me.
Oh, okay. So is there any kind of limitation as to how much of amount a lender would like to lend to a student in need?
Like till now, I think I'm doing like in the average of $300 because through like seeing all the data, it seems that $300 is like, because a lot of students live together. So like 300 is like kind of enough for them. So like for now, I would say $300.
Kshitij, what if the student decides to not pay back the loan after he is well enough to pay back?
I mean, I always tell my lenders, like, if they don't come back, you are giving this as a donation, you know that, right? And once they say yes, then only they can be a lender in this program. So everything is clear from first.
Talking about international students, there have been some complaints about people, regarding help to international students. There are people who are saying, why should we help international students? Because they came here to, with the financial support from their home. They were telling everyone that they had enough financial backup to sustain at least for 1 year in America, but all of a sudden they are saying, I don't have money to pay my rent. So people are criticizing it doesn't make sense. So how do you respond to that?
See, international students, even from the government perspective, is international students are the investment that these governments are doing. They're never a liability, right? The people are thinking as a liability. There is a reason why all these countries has opened their door for us, because they know we are an investment. Like, look at me, I pay a lot of tax. It's not like, we are just here coming, sitting in the couch, watching Netflix all day and doing nothing. Like, we all are giving back. We all are giving back to like American society, from our aspect, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the reason, because if you right now invest in this, in 5 years, these are the same people who are going to help to grow the economy of this particular country. I mean, at the same time, Nepal's too, but like, since like Nepalese are not the one who really complain, these are like other people who complain. That's what I want to say to them. Like, all those international students who came here 5 years or 10 years back, like right now, they are not in couch. They're definitely working in like some high companies, or they are teachers in universities, or like in some cases, like if you go to the grocery store, they are the one who are giving you the foods. So they are investments. So please, like, that just doesn't make sense, saying that international students are here and why are they asking for money? Mm-hmm. They're asking for money so that they can sustain now, so that in future they can give back to the community. Mm-hmm.
What about reaching out to non-Nepali students? Have you guys thought about it?
So, I mean, like in Crinjal, we have various projects through which like we help like non-Nepalese community. So I remember like we paid a tuition, whole educational expenses for a kid in Bangladesh whose family died in a fire. Right. So we have been doing that. For this also, like for loan also, I have no problem doing that. Like if someone comes to me, definitely I'm not going to say no. The only thing is that, so one of the main thing in verification is I see their Facebook profile or something. I try to find the mutual friend. I call them and I say, can you tell me something about this? Mm-hmm. Whereas with other people, like there won't be any mutual friends. True. So there won't be any good reference. So that's the only point. That's not like the blocker, but definitely that's a big thing in the verification process, right? Since we don't use social security check or anything. True. But yeah, if someone comes, definitely we will not say no. It's just the verification process might be longer, but like we are open for anyone.
And one more thing, what does this pandemic teach you as a person?
Oh, I mean, for me, like this has been the most productive time of my life.
Really?
Like, I have never been. I mean, like I'm a very social person, right? So in like back in California, like work, then go for soccer, go for barbecue, go for dinner, this, that, all these things. Whereas here, like there were so many pending projects that I'm finishing one by one. So I'm like really happy. Like this pandemic is like really, really being productive for me. So like personally from my level, I don't have any complaint, but there are like a lot of people who are losing their jobs, this and that. So, I guess the other thing is like the concept of saving. Now people will finally start realizing why saving matters. Even like $50 a month, why you should start saving as a millennials also, and as a youngsters also. I think now people will finally realize why you need to have emergency fund, right? Mm-hmm. Those concepts, because, a lot of time youngsters get your paycheck, go party, finish it off, paycheck to paycheck life, right? So I think this will be a very good time. Everyone will learn a lesson that you need to have emergency fund, you need to have saving and all those stuff.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, what are the other projects that Crinjal is doing?
Yeah, sure. So there are a lot, right? So there's Shiksha Diksha, through which every week we pay the educational expense of one kid in Nepal. I think we have already paid like 60 to 70 students for whole year. So that is one. There's Pohilo Kadam, through which we help like mental health, people with mental health problem, connect with the counselors and do all this stuff. Then there is Crinjal Mentorship, which has been a dream of mine to, like just imagine, if an engineer from Google can mentor a kid in Birganj, that would be awesome, right? So that was my dream, which is now it's happening. Crinjal Mentorship is happening. There are mentors from Google, Apple, Facebook, Harvard, Stanford, Goldman Sachs, and all of them helping kids in Pokhara, Baglung, and those things. It's really amazing to see that connection. So that is there, and few other projects are also coming. But these are the like main projects in pipeline. And I think the other thing I have to say is a lot of time I get credit for the thing because my face is always there, but I always say that it's all because of my team. I'm the one who does the least amount of work in my team, yet because I'm always there in the media, like I get all the recognition. But like even for this like loan project, the lenders who trusted me in one word are the real heroes, right? Because they didn't ask me anything. Like I just said, okay, I need money, and they was like, yeah, okay, how much you need, right? So they are the real ones. So I would like to give a shout out to all the lenders. There's a guy who helped me to design the Excel sheet for transparency, Gaurav Pandey. He helped. And all my Crinzel team. So it's all because of a team collaboration.
So Kshitij, if anybody would like to reach out to you for the loan assistance for rent program, or would like to learn more about all these projects that you do under Crinzel, how do they reach out to you? What is the platform?
So crinzel.org, KRINJAL.org. I think that's the best one. If you go, you can see all the projects, you can see my contact address and everything. And if anyone wants to be a lender, right, because we are even looking for lenders, right? So it's the same way. Like you can go through it, and through there you can contact me.
Okay. Lastly, is there anything else you want to add?
You guys are doing amazing work, the Nepali power couple. Thank you so much.
Once again, thank you so much for all the amazing work that you are doing, and continue being an inspiration to all the youth.
Thank you so much.
So with that, we would like to thank you all for watching to our podcast and listening to our podcast.
And please make sure you subscribe and share this episode.
Bye guys.
Hello, I'm Ian Hull from the U.S. Census Bureau. Beginning on March 12th, everyone in the country will be invited to respond to the 2020 census. You'll have the ability to respond to the census over the phone, online, or using a paper form. It is incredibly important that everyone is counted. Make sure you, your family members, and your neighbors are counted in this critical census. We only get one chance every 10 years to conduct the census. This is your chance to be counted.